We're now joined by a special guest here on ESPN Radio 94.1. He was introduced as the head football coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd on January the 17th in 2021, an elite recruiter and developer of talent who's coached at a wide array of places, including his alma mater, Hampton University, Western Michigan, Penn State, Maryland, Tennessee State, also in the NFL as well with the Buffalo Bills. He's been an assistant with Nick Saban of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and now as the head coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, getting ready for his second season at the helm. He played starting center for the Hampton Pirates, so he's got some 757 roots in a way as well. Charles Huff, so kind to join us here. Coach, thank you so much for the time. How's the offseason treating you guys?
It's been really good. For the first time, we're getting a full off season. Last year with the COVID restrictions, it was limited to how many guys you could have in a group, and we still have our protocols in place, but now we're able to do more things together with new, protocols and guidelines. So it'll be interesting to see how we're able to come together now when we get the full off season.
Let's quickly recap the past season for you, your first year at the helm. A 7-6 mark, 5 games decided by 7 or less, including a victory over Old Dominion 20-13 in overtime in October. How do you look back on your first season at the helm?
Yeah, I thought exactly what we kind of thought when we first started. We had a really good foundation. We talk about closing the gap in our program, and that gap is the details. And the games we did a very good job in, we played with those details, discipline, attention to detail, finish, all of those things. The games that we struggled in, we weren't. We didn't do a good job in those areas, discipline, gap control, tackling, controlling the ball, taking care of the football with turnovers and that nature. But it was a good start, really good foundation. We got a long way to go, but I think we had a good, solid start to build off of.
I imagine people outside of Huntington think of Marshall as the movie We Are Marshall. They think of some pros such as Chad Pennington, Randy Moss, who's now on television, Byron Leftwich, who's up for a head coaching job in the NFL. What drew you to Marshall before you got there, and what did you think about the program?
Yeah, it was, the stability and foundation, being a first-time head coach, you want to take over a program that has a good foundation that you can build upon. A lot of times first-time head coaches don't get solid foundation programs. They get programs that need to be rebuilt or, retooled. This program had a solid foundation, and there's a lot of things that we need to do culture-wise, facilities-wise, roster-wise to upgrade it. But just like you said, it has a good brand. People know that there has been greatness there. There's been success there before. So for us to try to remodel that or revive that is easier because of the foundation.
You get to coach alongside one of the greatest to ever do it, Nick Saban from Alabama. What did you learn from him in your time there and have tried to apply now in your program at Marshall?
Consistency, consistency in your approach, consistency in everything you do, consistency in your performance. Consistency eliminates anxiety. When people know exactly what to do and when to do it, how to do it, the way it's supposed to be done, that allows people to be able to do the things that they need to do to be successful. So I would say the biggest thing is consistency. Coach Saban's done a lot of great things and won a lot of championships, but I think the thing people will be most impressed about is the consistency of dominance, not just, 1 year, 2 years, or they had a good run, but everywhere he's been consistently dominant, and that's what I think, to me, is the most important thing I've learned.
When you played at Hampton, you got to see up close and personal the talent here around the 757, and now when you go into these hallways of different schools, you see some familiar faces you played with or maybe against. What was it about the 757, or what is it about the 757 that's different from other areas around the country in your eyes?
Yeah, I think it's kind of right in that mix, right? You talk about in the South where a lot of high school football players and middle school football players get to play football year-round. The 757 is not year-round football, but it's year-round sports. So these kids are playing something from the time they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old until the time they get to high school. And what that is that's just overall development. They're running, they're shooting basketballs, they're playing in the park, they're running track. And what that does is that allows them to develop faster. So now when they get to high school, they may not be as well defined as a kid from Texas or, something like that. But what they are is they're athletically ahead of a lot of other people. And then when they get to high school, there's a lot of really good high school coaches that have been coaching for a long time that have played the game. A lot of the coaches in this area come back to this area to coach, which means they have a little bit deeper connection to the kids. They probably know their mothers, they know their cousins, they know their brothers. So now they're not only coaching them athletically, they're mentoring them from a mentor guidance standpoint. And to me, that's what you see on the field. You see guys that are ultra athletic, ultra gifted, that are being mentored. And you watch a kid from ninth grade to 12th grade. I would probably say in the Virginia Beach area, they make the most stride in development, from the ninth grade to the 10th grade, ninth grade to the 12th grade, just because they're ultra athletic and then they get coached up when they get to the high schools.
Certainly so much talent everywhere you go across the Tidewater area. And, Coach, on your roster, about 6 players, I think, from the state of Virginia in 2021, including Brian Cavalcante from Portsmouth, Elijah Alston out of Chesapeake, and Oscar Smith High. Do you have a number in mind in terms of how many you want, or is it not so much the quantity you get caught up in, it's all about the quality?
No, I want all the good ones. So if they can play, I want them. I think what you got to do is you got to find the kids that fit you and your program. There's a lot of great programs, obviously, in this state and in this region. But what we want to do, we want to be able to come in and find the elite player that fits us. Every player that is good at football doesn't fit Marshall. And we want to make sure from our profile, our model, that we select and recruit and build relationships with the right players so that when they do come, they are successful.
We're chatting with Charles Huff. He's the second-year head football coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, our guest here on ESPN Radio 94.1, a wide array of college experience. Also in the NFL, also played here in the 757 at Hampton University, where he served as a team captain, starting 12 games at center as a senior in 2005, played guard, fullback, and tight end as well. Coach, as you look at recruiting in general, how much has it been affected through COVID, and also how much is it affected now with everything going on with name, image, and likeness and everything that's translating in college athletics that's constantly changing here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely new game. Like for us, this period that we're out right now is really like an early spring recruiting period. We've been lucky enough to have our class pretty much committed and signed. So these 2 weeks that we get is kind of like early spring recruiting that we didn't get a year ago, with COVID. The landscape in recruiting is changing. There's going to be a huge divide between quote-unquote the big schools and the smaller schools. I think the NIL has created that. I also think the NIL has created opportunity, obviously, for the players to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. I think we just got to be mindful. We don't want kids' college decisions being made off of money. We want them to be making the right decisions. And I think if we can manage them making the right decisions, not just based off of how much money can I get off my name, image, and likeness, I think ultimately we'll be in a really good spot. I tell kids all the time, your name, image, and likeness is only as good as you play. So if you go somewhere and they tell you you're going to get a big name, image, and likeness deal or contract, but you're not playing, you're not happy, you're not successful, then your name, image, and likeness is probably not going to continue to create value. So I think we just got to be mindful of how we manage and how we sell the name, image, and likeness to the kids. But I think it is a positive because it gives them an opportunity to create value for themselves. Going
back to the Commonwealth of Virginia piece here, even though you're a school in West Virginia, how essential is it getting the talent from neighboring states like here in Virginia to your program's overall growth?
Yeah, I think, when we talk about how our recruiting model, we want to recruit the 5-hour radius. And this area is just right on the edge of that 5-hour radius. So obviously we want to make sure that all the players in that radius we know about, we've evaluated, we've built relationships with, and if they fit Marshall, that we get them to come to Marshall. And I think this area probably has a very good nucleus of those type players that we believe that fit Marshall in our program.
The Sun Belt joining that league, JMU's addition made it 16 geographically. You got rivals such as Old Dominion and James Madison. What's your feelings on the conference and where college football is headed in general?
Yeah, I think it's a shift, right? It started out with the Big 8, and then it was the Big 10, and then the Big 12, and the Pac-West, the Big East, all of those things. I think the landscape continues to change and evolve. I think our commissioners and I think our ADs and presidents have done a very good job of continuing to stay ahead. This is going to create a lot of opportunity for the schools that are changing conferences to renew some rivalries. It's going to create some opportunity for us in particular to, elevate our resources. We're going into a different conference with teams that have, a little bit more resources than we have. So we're going to have to elevate our resources, which ultimately trickles down to to the players, right? Now they're getting more resources. They're getting more help. From a fan perspective, the TV contracts are important. We want every fan to come to the game, but we do realize that, fans aren't going to be able to get to every game and being able to see whether it's their team or their son play. I think that's a positive.
A couple more here for Charles Huff, head football coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd here on ESPN Radio 94.1. As you turn from 2021 to 2022, Coach, give me an outlook on your squad and what's different about this team as opposed to your first one.
Yeah, it's totally different. Every year is going to be totally different. This team's identity will be created throughout the season, throughout the winter, throughout the spring. The guys that were here on the 2021 team did a phenomenal job for us. Wish them all the best. Hopefully something they learned while being a part of our program would help them be more successful in life. But this team is totally different. I told them in our first meeting, we will be as good as you guys decide to be. And that's an everyday commitment to the core values and the foundation of our program. So I'm excited. I think we got a lot of good pieces returning. I think we're adding some really good pieces. We had the best recruiting class, not only in Conference USA, the number one recruiting class in Conference USA, but the best recruiting class in Marshall history. So I think some of those guys are going to come in and have an opportunity to compete and bring value to the program.
Nothing less than a bowl game and a championship, right?
Yeah, I just want to beat the Norfolk State's our first game of the year, and I just want to beat Norfolk State right now. And whatever we need to do to align ourselves to be in position to do that every day in the off season and spring, that's what we got to be able to do.
We'll end on a little bit of a fun one, and we thank you so much for your time here. All right, we've met Charles Huff, the football coach. You're out on the road recruiting, grinding with your team, getting ready for the season. Give the audience out there what Charles Huff enjoys doing when he's not out there recruiting, watching film, studying football field. What's kind of your favorite thing to do just in your spare time?
Yeah, probably between smoking cigars and playing golf, and I get to do that for about 2 weeks in the summer. Other than that I enjoy literally going to work every day. I really do. I like the guys I work with. I think we got a phenomenal staff. I think we got a really good team. I like going to work. I like being the head coach. I like dealing with the positives, the negatives that come with being the head coach. When I do get the opportunity to watch film, I enjoy that. I don't get to do it as much in the off season because of of other things. But I enjoy being the head coach at Marshall. My wife gets on me all the time. She's like, "All you do is work." I was like, "Well, it's not work to me. It's fun." So I enjoy it. But those are the things when I do get some free time. Between giving back to my family, which sacrifices a lot because we're on the road, smoking a good cigar and playing a little golf.
Hey, when you're working a job that you enjoy doing, it's not much of a job. And, hey, nothing wrong with a cigar and getting on the links.
Not at all. Not at all. I don't get to do it much. With the weather in West Virginia gives you a small window to maximize your golf game. But I do enjoy it.
Charles Huff, head football coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd. Thank you so much. All the best to you on your recruiting travels. Good to see you here in Virginia, and we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate you having us on, and go Herd.
There you go. That's Charles Huff, head football coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd with us here on ESPN Radio 94.1.